This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. Now we'll talk about the directorial debut of a talented actor, Harris Dickinson. You might know him as the star of Baby Girl and Triangle of Sadness. But for this movie called Urchin, he stepped behind the camera as its director and writer. The film stars Frank Delane as Mike. We meet him as he's sleeping on the streets of London. A nice man offers to help Mike buy lunch and helps him out. It looks like things might get better for Mike. That is, until he hits the man and steals his watch. Those ups and downs are characteristic of Mike's life. He lands in prison, but is given a potential fresh start when he gets out. He gets a job, but loses it. Mike gets clean, but the pull of drugs is too powerful. Urchin premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, where Frank Delane took home an award for his performance. You can stream it now on Hulu or Disney+. Harris Dickinson and Frank Delane joined us here on All of It, and I started by asking Harris how long he had this story in his head.
It's been around 6 years of developing it. At the moment we started writing it up until kind of now releasing it, around 6 years.
And was it the original story? Is it the story we see on screen, or how did it develop?
There or thereabouts. I mean, it was always about someone kind of falling between the cracks, trying to paint a picture of someone navigating their way through a tricky system and ultimately kind of battling against themselves and tracking in real time as they unravel in a way. But I think we worked closely with various different organisations and advisors in fields in prison reform and probation, and had a lot of people weigh in on it and interrogate the material. So it really felt like a big collaboration between lots of different people that had lived experience with it as well. So that was always important for the script and the development, to really try and push it into the best place possible. And then, of course, Frank came on board around 8-9 months before we started filming, and we collaborated on the role together and found our way into it together as well, which was nice.
Harris, you mentioned that you were working with different organizations. What was something that you learned or you experienced firsthand that you knew you had to make it had to make it into the film?
Well, I think what the interesting thing about Mike and the age and the point he's at, in his late 20s, something happens, particularly in the UK, from 16 to 25, there's different support networks available. Yeah. You're in a different bracket, right? Mm-hmm. And as soon as you get past that, it becomes incredibly difficult to support people in the same ways. And so I think the one thing I really wanted to try and show is, and reject, is the idea that we're blaming anyone, right? We're not blaming the people that work in those fields. There's phenomenal work being done by all of those different workers and organisations, but it was trying to present a full picture of someone trying to re-assimilate, and how difficult that is once you've been either incarcerated, or once you've lost your support network, or you've kind of exhausted your options and people have given up on you and you've kind of given up on yourself. It's really a difficult battle. So I think we just wanted to try and get that across in the film and provide a bit of insight and empathy towards this,
Frank, how do you think, we're going to talk about Harris like he's not here. How did Harris's background as an actor help him as a director?
I think I really appreciated Harris's background as an actor with his directing style. He allowed him to really to jump into scenes with me, and we could rehearse it a lot. And also there was just a sort of understanding of the things an actor goes through to achieve character. And it was just like having this extra support network. If we could, as Harris said, we really built Mike together. And Harris is an actor's director, which I think is becoming a rarer thing, at least in my experience. It could be, you could come in and just have one line, and Harris would be there with the actor, running it until he got it right, and just really holding space for the creative process and for exploration, and also knowing where the switches are in each actor and being able to flick those switches, and he certainly pushed me in ways that I've not been pushed before, and I think that's a testament to his understanding of the craft of acting.
All directors have to make decisions. That's a big part of being a director, is decision after decision after decision. What is a decision that was a little bit hard to make but that worked out for you on this film?
Which jacket Mike wore. The costume decisions are the hardest because they're
interesting though.
But they're a big commitment. You see, you commit to that, and then you say, well, he's wearing that throughout the whole film, because he's not necessarily the kind of film where he's going to keep changing costume, and so you commit to that, and you say, well, we're in now, and is it right? But no, I mean, I kind of said that in jest. Really, it's the last minute changes that you have to really account for, and that no one can really warn you about. You know, you're on set and you lose a location. We were doing a lot of unit moves. We were doing a lot of night shoots, and there were times where we were on the go shooting somewhere, and our locations manager would come and say, "Oh, by the way, we've lost the location for the next scene. What do you want to do?" And you have to figure out what the next move is for the night. Are we going to do it on this street corner, or are we going to find a new location? Are we going to fabricate something? Should I just rewrite something? So it's those moments that you can't really prepare for that took me.
But I do want to ask you about the clothes, and I want to ask Frank about. There's a scene where you're trying on a sweater, a jumper, and it's a very sweet scene because the woman in the shop, we assume it's a thrift hand shop, is rolling up your sleeves, like she's making sure that it fits you right, and you're very sort of proud of it. And then she goes and she gets you these loafers, and you're really into these loafers. What was going through Frank's mind? Why was that important to him, that his sweater fit well and that his loafers fit well?
Mike's mind, I assume you mean, rather than Frank's mind.
Sorry, Mike's mind.
Although I suppose it was one mind in that moment, I guess, although we probably shouldn't get too deep into the psychology of character versus actor. I think, the Harris wanted to. The story that we wanted to tell in that moment was one of again, dignity and feeling good about yourself. Feeling proud of yourself, having a bit of money, money to spend on something you like. Which, when you don't have any money, and if you haven't had any money for a long time, that those things can be robbed of you. The experience of going into a shop and finding a nice jumper and really feeling yourself and feeling good, and maybe experimenting with a new pair of shoes that you wouldn't usually try, and a kind of wanting to show yourself off a bit. And I think that was the story that Harris was tapping into in that moment with Michael.
There's also something quite sweet about the idea that they both believe they're in a slightly more high class situation. The idea that she's, in the script it said, in her mind, she's working high-end retail. Right. Because maybe once upon a time she was.
Yeah.
And now she's in a charity shop in East London, and clothes are no more than £4. But still, there's an idealistic element to it where it's like, me and you, we're in front of a mirror.
Yes.
We're on Savile Row. Fitting a suit, and there's something quite sweet about that.
The film kicks off with kind of a tough moment. Mike attacks this man under the bridge, a really nice man, and steals his wallet. Frank, what's going on with Mike in this moment that he decides to attack and to rob this person?
Well, I think desperation has its own language that maybe we're not all tapped into if we're not desperate. I think poverty has its own language. In that moment, Mike is not in his right mind. He is coming off drugs or needing a fix. He's just been robbed himself by his friend, and I think that he in that moment has worked himself up to a place where he feels like that is his only option, really. Survival.
When you think about his hopes and dreams, what are they?
Well, Harris and I spoke a lot about this actually, and Mike talks about it in the film. He has aspiration to have a limousine chauffeur service.
This was shot in 28 days, right, Harris?
Yeah.
What was challenging about that?
What was challenging? We had 36 locations.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It was foolish of me, to be honest. But we made it work. We had an amazing crew that really facilitated this in the best way possible for us and worked super hard to, roll with the punches. But what else was hard? I mean, a lot of actors as well. We had a lot of different roles coming in and out of the story, playing small but important parts of Mike's journey. That's hard, the sort of collision of tones and bringing people into the same world.
What was exciting about 28 days of shooting?
Yeah, it was. And especially like it was the summer. I mean, it wasn't that hot because it's London, but it was the summer. We had short nights. So when we shot night stuff, we had from around 10 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. because that's when the sun would start to rise. So it was a short period of night time. So it really meant that there was this energy fueling the shoot of like, we've got to get this in the time allocated. But it was polarized because there was also times where it was more considered. We were at the hotel. It was slower pace. We had time. We weren't rushing. So it was a perfect combination of tones and feelings and energies.
I wanted to ask you, there's some kind of trippy parts in the film. Cells, looking down a sink, sort of falling into this cave. It could be the mind. Who knows exactly where it is? The rest of the film is so grounded in reality, and you have these little areas of trippiness, I guess is the way I'm going to put it. Why?
I like to speak about it as if we're departing reality or suspending reality for moments, which is, I think, a natural part of coping mechanisms with all of us, right? Like the resistance to absolute reality, and I don't, and that's not whimsical or overly pretentious. That's just the truth. I think we all go to places in our mind in order to escape, particularly when we're dealing with stories around someone who has been through extreme trauma. You know, that does stuff to the brain chemistry, and we cope with it in unique ways. And I just think a story like this deserves that. And for me, when I was developing it, I've always had an interest in that kind of storytelling as well. Magical realism, more surreal elements, escapist cinema, fairy tale, fables, folklore. For me, it's just what I'm intrigued by, and it felt like, why not break the form of a ordinary social realism and go somewhere else with it, you know?
Have you seen Rose Byrne's new movie?
What, If I Had Legs?
Yes.
Not yet. I was just talking about it though. Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
There's a whole bunch that's similar.
Okay, yeah.
About the two films.
Yeah. Okay.
Check it out.
I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
Harris, are you going to make another film?
Yes, I hope someone will let me.
That sounded like it took a little while.
Yeah, no, I just it's a huge time commitment, isn't it? And I absolutely have something else I want to make next, but it's just there's so much of my life and commitment and time and stories and dedication in this film, and so you kind of have to refill the pot, you know, in order to go and do it again.
I heard you were playing the piano out in the hallway.
Sorry.
And everybody's like, "Oh, he's playing John Lennon. He's playing John
God.
Lennon."
I wasn't playing Beatles songs. I was just tinkering away. And I hope you didn't hear it live on radio.
Didn't hear it live?
That would be embarrassing.
What is your preparation?
Me screaming on the piano.
What's your preparation been like for that role, playing John Lennon?
It's just been a lot of music. Yeah, it's been like a year of music rehearsals, really, just learning to play the instruments, kind of like school, just going in every day and just getting it done, you know. There's no way around it. That's it, yeah.
That was my conversation about the film Urchin with writer-director and actor Harris Dickinson and the film's lead, Frank Delane.